Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Wow, Jared Anderson, Martin Bakole has been added to the Terence Crawford-Israel Madrimov card, which is on August the 3rd in Los Angeles. This is a Saudi-backed card as part of Riyadh Season, the first that they're taking on the road. So that card already had a good heavyweight fight in Jarrell Miller versus Andy Ruiz Jr., and now we have Anderson, who was promised a step up. He's getting a step up in Martin Bakole. Bakole, the Congolese fighter, the big punching, hard-hitting, heavy hands fighter. He's a guy that, if you're not careful, you're going to find yourself in a world of pain. So it's a massive step up for Jared Anderson. As we know, Anderson has been fighting a range of competition on his way up. He's looked pretty good for the most part, but there's been the odd wobble against Charles Martin, a somewhat washed and faded Charles Martin. Martin Bakole is a step up from that, and I guess the only knock on Bakole at this point is he hasn't really been fighting enough. There's not enough activity. Hard to say, where he's at, and sometimes he seems like he's not coming in the best of shape. But he's going to need to be in peak condition for this fight with Anderson, because in Anderson, we've got a guy unbeaten coming up. He's been boxing since he was a kid. He's got good skills, generally all round. He's got good facets of his game. He's got a good jab. He's reasonably hard hitting, maybe not the sort of concussive heavy hands like a Bakole, but he's all very well rounded. And I expect he is going to have success against Bakole, but he is going to have to really tighten up on his defense, because so far in his career, at different points, he has been a little bit loose, a little bit lackluster, sometimes pulling straight back. And if Martin Bakole, with those heavy hands, he can punch very well with both hands, and he's a very good body puncher as well, underrated body puncher. I think, this could end up being too much too soon for Jared Anderson, because in Martin Bakole, there's been a guy that's been part of that Who Needs Him club, waiting for an opportunity. As his manager, Billy Nelson, keeps saying, people are turning him down. He mentioned that Frank Sanchez and Azambek Makhmedov and others, a whole host of others, have not wanted to face him, have turned down fights with Bakole in the not too recent distant past. So for Anderson to take this on, this shows he's got a real set of cojones on him. Seriously, because, you're going from some of the opposition that he's been facing, Riyadh Season most recently, Charles Martin, as we know, and there was a string of European sort of padded records that didn't really tell us much about Anderson and where he was really at. And given some of the outside of the ring antics, it does appear that Anderson needs a test. He needs something to motivate him. And there is nothing more motivating than the hands of Martin Bakole sinking into your body or onto your chin to help you prepare and get you motivated for a fight. Because if he's not careful, if he slips up, he could find himself on the canvas and knocked out. This feels like almost too much too soon, that Anderson's kind of, missed a step somewhere, that he was needing a fight between, getting to that sort of top 15 level in terms of that competition, and all of a sudden he's, kind of skipped past it. Yeah, and some might say, like Riyadh Season and a few others, that they were there or thereabouts in the top 15 to top 30, but, those were carefully matched fights. This is all danger, pure danger. So, I'm a little surprised they've accepted this, but I guess, if he's good enough, he's old enough, and if Anderson's really going to show the world who he is and what he's about, these are the sort of tests that he needs to come through, because it's not going to get any easier heading up the tree. And even if he was to take a loss in this one, he's, 24 years old. He's able to basically rebuild and come back, and he might be the better for it. And I'm not writing him off at this point, because clearly a very talented individual, and he's a good shot in this fight. But he needs to be disciplined, come with a game plan, because Martin Bakole has got a very long reach. He's got a very good jab. He can box really well at range, good long punches, and if you find yourself at the end of him, it can be a bit dangerous. I mean, one of the things that I've noted in the Sergey Kuzmin fight was an example. If you were to sort of come in, be on his chest, it's a little harder for him to work as effectively. But if you're trying to get to the inside and stay there for any length of time, he doesn't need too much distance, short punches. He can do some damage from that range as well. But Jared Anderson is going to need to come with a game plan here, box and move. So, we saw, guys can survive with Bakole, like Joker did, for example, but he was basically running scared, didn't really want a bar of it. So I guess there's going to be some early moments in the fight where Anderson feels the power, and that's going to dictate what he does. Is he going to sort of shake it off and really, come forward with gusto and try to put it on Bakole? We have seen in the past, and this is, I guess, going back, 6 years or so, when Bakole did face Michael Hunter. He did fade a little bit down the stretch. There was a little bit of an injury with the shoulder as well, and mentally he seemed to just come apart a little bit at the seams. Billy Nelson, his trainer, was really trying to keep him on track. Ultimately, he ended up getting stopped in that one. But, injuries aside, and if he's healthy, he's got, this is his big opportunity. It's a huge opportunity for Martin Bakole because he's been sitting, waiting and watching. Not a lot of guys are calling his name or willing to fight him, it seems. So, huge chance for him. It's a huge opportunity for Anderson to prove who he is and where he's going should he beat Martin Bakole. Because if he beats Bakole, he's knocking on the door of a massive fight. Maybe one fight away from a title fight sort of territory. Bakole kind of has been the captain of the Who Needs Him club for the past 4 or 5 years. So if Anderson goes in, he has a good camp, he stays disciplined, out of trouble, and he goes, Martin Bakole is the business, he's the real deal, and he uses that to motivate himself, to put in the best version of himself, then, we've got one hell of a fight on our hands. Very hard to call. It's kind of the up-and-comer, brash, flashy, with all the talent against the guy that people have been avoiding. And he's a big puncher, and he could end the fight with, one series sequence of punches. His hands are just that heavy. Anderson could find himself dispatched at any moment of the fight. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud enough and hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.